What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. Two guys, one mic. Running down some playoff games here. As you may have noticed, yet again, our friend Michael is not here. Man's got some bad luck this year, that's for sure. Running into some home improvement problems right now. And I feel that, man. I feel that for him. So hopefully next week he'll be back. Get everything situated and he'll be back.
Good luck to you, brother.
Yeah.
Miss ya, but we move forward, right?
Gotta keep going, you know. We're so close to the end. Can't give up now. So, brings us to last week's games.
Yes.
I gotta tell you, man, there were some heartbreaks last week. And I really felt for your guys, for the Packers, heart broke for you guys. I think you should have pulled that game off.
Yeah.
You know, and then I don't know how your heart doesn't shatter for the wide right curse that is Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, that was a tough one too. I mean, both of them were game-changing field goals that could have made a difference. Who knows? Obviously, the two better teams won. We'll talk about it more, but it's definitely heartbreaking for sure.
Yeah. We had talked all year about roller coaster rides and what team's going to catch hot at what point, and I just feel like Buffalo and Green Bay had caught hot at the right time, and that they were most likely going to have a deep, deep run. And then they just ran into Lady Luck, who just wasn't on their side this week, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's a tough week, but...
Yeah. So...
congratulations to the other teams, though, that made it.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's... well, at least for you, the Niners are the number one seed in the NFC, so it's not like they lost to a lower seed,
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, the Chiefs are, they were honestly favored, and they were going into it, as a team that people are expecting to win and even go further on. So, I mean, all of the games were really good games. We talked about it this week. Mm-hmm. One game kind of got pulled away a little bit, but besides that, man, every game was so good, which is... It was such a good weekend for football. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It was amazing.
Yeah, so this past weekend, Saturday, I spent the day down in Baltimore, as a matter of fact, at the Johns Hopkins Lacrosse Coaching Clinic, which was awesome. It was great, right? But I couldn't help but feel like everywhere I was going, I was getting a death stare. Now, I know I wasn't because I hid all my Steelers stuff when I was down there. We went out to dinner at a local pub, a nice little place called Naughty Pine. Delicious burgers, man. It was really good food. I walk in, and of course, like the first 6 people I see all wear Ravens jerseys. And they're like staring at me, and I'm like, I'm not wearing anything. Like, I'm wearing my Windsor lacrosse stuff, you know what I mean? So I'm walking in, and I'm like, dude, why do I feel like they're looking straight through everything? And they could just tell. They could smell it,
Yep, they could.
So we actually got out of there right before the game started, and for the majority of that game, for the first 2.5 quarters, I was driving home, so I didn't have any clue what was going on in that game, and we found it on the radio station on the way home. At that point, it was 10-10, and I was like, wow, man, the Texans hanging in there. All right, Stroud, I got you. I see you, bud. And then, sure enough, right after I turned it on, about 2 minutes after I turned it on, the Ravens scored, and then Texans got stopped, and the Ravens scored again, and then I think the Texans got stopped again, and then we lost service, so I missed it. But I feel like I jinxed the Texans by turning it on because they were playing better before I turned the game on.
Yeah, I mean, if you were a person that didn't watch the game and looked at the scoreboard of the final score, you would be like, "Wow, it was a blowout." I even said, I was like, that was probably disappointing. However, you are right. At the first half, it was tight. Yeah. It was very tight. Good defense, just not a lot of offensive. I think it went into halftime at 10-10. I think. Am I?
Well, when I turned the game on in the third quarter, it was 10-10. And I think that's
okay.
I think that was the halftime score as well.
Yeah, I think so.
So.
We could be wrong. But it was at the second half. The better team came out and they just played better ball, man. I mean, Lamar Jackson, he's a wizard when it comes to running the ball. He just, they're good.
Yeah, that I hate to see it, but yeah, I think one of the things with this was experience. You know, the Baltimore's a more experienced team. They've been around. The Texans are a young team, young coach, but with all that being said, and the year they had, and how far they went in the playoffs and stuff, the Texans are going to be exciting to watch for the next few years. Yep. That's for sure.
And that's where I think that two teams, obviously the Packers, and we'll talk about them, but the Texans more so should be proud of where they got and what they did. Not only did they get into the playoffs, they won their division, and they won a playoff game, and they did it with a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback. Yeah. So with some injuries, right? Some of the players that were key parts. Yeah. So I mean, hats off to their team. They deserved everything that they got, and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I think we were there. A lot of the so-called professional analysts weren't predicting a lot of wins for the Texans this year. So they proved a lot of people wrong, and they had a great season. Now I hope next year they don't run into the sophomore slump. I wasn't a big Stroud fan in college, but I like him now. I like what he's doing now.
Well, it's funny because a lot of the quarterbacks coming out of Ohio, the more recent ones, besides Justin Fields was the first one to come out and kind of, but the ones before him, I mean, you could name 3 or 4 or 5 guys that kind of came in and kind of busted, right?
Yeah.
So they don't have a great record coming out. Obviously, Justin Fields came and he's doing good, but
people even say Fields is like a bust. Like, they're talking about Chicago getting rid of him already.
Right.
But it's because he's not winning. But that's not on him. Like, I think he plays.
Right.
I'm telling you, Pittsburgh needs to make a phone call. But people are trashing Fields, and they're like, oh, I'd get rid of him. I'd trade him right now. I would probably hold on to him personally and try to build around him. But, what are you going to do?
The one thing, going into this, like, a little bit of the talk about Fields, I did listen to a podcast. I think it was Mel Kiper's podcast, and they were talking about, and they made a really good point. If you keep Fields, you're gonna have to pay him, and he's probably not gonna ask for, 20, 30
right.
million. It's gonna be upward of 40, 50 million, right?
Yeah.
And is he gonna be really a $40, $50 million quarterback? Maybe. Who knows? Like, we don't know.
Yeah.
Or you could go the route of Caleb Williams
and get the rookie contract for 4 years, at least 4 years, if not 5.
And they don't know. Like, they're like, maybe Caleb Williams comes in and is just as good as Fields right now. They're both developmental players. I mean, Fields is definitely not anywhere near his peak, right?
Right.
So,
I've been hearing a lot of things about this Caleb Williams kid too, just being a diva, he wants things specific ways. He wants it his way, and it's just the diva. The diva name's already been thrown out on Caleb Williams. He hasn't even been drafted yet, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't like his personality when it came to the whole thing of I will only go to certain teams.
Yeah.
I need to know.
He wanted ownership in teams too.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but we're going to get into that in the off season.
Yeah,
it's going to be a huge part. It's going to be an exciting year. This year is going to be crazy for off season.
So that was Baltimore and Texans game, and then the second game was the Green Bay Niners game. Two good games. What heartbreaking! I mean, you guys fought, and you fought hard, and I thought you guys were going to pull it off. I did end up falling asleep towards the end of this game because, like I said, I was traveling. We were at the clinic all day, so I didn't get to see a whole lot of it. But from what I did see, I actually expected to wake up in the morning and see Green Bay as a victor for this one.
Yeah, this is tough. It was a kind of a gut wrenching punch. A lot of things to be said about Green Bay. I'm really proud of where they came from. Obviously nobody expected them to even get into the playoffs, let alone beat the Cowboys, to actually win, have a chance against 49ers. So I think that part of it, I'm really excited for the future. Again, I bring this up every time, right? They're the youngest team in the NFL. They have a lot of promise, and I did see another clip where Jordan Love is also in the class with Joe Burrow, with Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, which is crazy. All these guys are in the same one, and Tua. So all five of them are in the class, and both of them picked Jordan Love over all of them. Which, I'm over a little Burrow? Bit over Burrow's too, and I was shocked.
Well, Burrow's got injury. Burrow's already gotten 2 seasons where he's had season-ending injuries. So
yeah, again, I don't know about that. That might seem a little rich, but I'm very excited for Love. I think he has a great poise to his game, and the unfortunate part was we lost it. There was nothing about how anything else happened. They came down, scored a touchdown on us. We had a minute left, a little bit over a minute left, and we could have came back and scored a touchdown and won it. However, Jordan Love threw a across the shoulder, across the field pass that was a terrible pass on second down with 40 seconds left. When it comes to his experience, that's really where it shows how he was technically a rookie quarterback. So.
Yep. Now, you guys got rid of Joe Barry, right?
We did. We fired him 2 days ago.
Yeah, I was a little surprised because I feel like you guys turned your defense around and started playing better towards the end of the year when you went on your hot run.
Yeah, we talked about it. You mentioned it to me. You asked me, hey, is Joe Barry out after this year? And I was like, he has to be, right? And then they went on this run, and I think the defense just played so well. I think that's why we were so good, because our offense is not this high-powered offense, right? We have a offense that can score, but really, if we can keep it to a lower game and kind of score 24, you're not going to score 48 points like Dallas. We could, right? We did against some teams. However, I feel like the defense stepped up, and it'll be interesting this year.
Yeah. I feel like you guys were a surprise team this year, and what's really, really, it's awesome season for you guys. Great accomplishment, great to be proud of. But it is also kind of a heartbreak because I feel like you guys were just like a couple pieces away from really shocking the world and making a real good push for everything.
Yeah, I think and I hate to say this, but our kicker, Clark, I always mess it up. It's Clarkson or Clarkson.
Carlson, isn't it Carlson?
Carlson. I didn't like him this year. He was not clutch in any games. He had a really tough year. He was a rookie, but he just, in the moments where we needed him the most, he didn't make those key field goals. So
right.
I don't know. I just,
he's no Mason Crosby.
Yeah, you wonder. It's like if you wonder if you kept him, just where it would have been. But we'll go in the off season and figure it out. But you're right. It was a shocker, and it was almost one of those years where it's like if you could have got it,
Yeah. And then that brings us to the next game, which I forgot at first how much of a heartbreak the next game was, and now looking at who it was, I remember how bad I felt for Baker when he threw that interception at the end of the game. The Lions taking a hell of a game, great game, and I'm glad to see Baker's playing well again. I think if Tampa's smart, they re-sign him. They try to bring him back next year and try to make a run at it again. I was glad to see he started playing well, started doing some things. flip side, I'm glad the Lions won. I'm pulling for the Lions. But when you could just see it, like, when he threw that interception, it literally drained everything out of him. And you could tell on the field that he was just, like, he was drained.
It's funny how the difference between Jordan Love when he threw the interception and Baker Mayfield, because Jordan Love was, like, it was tough. But, I mean, when Baker threw that, it was just, like, pulled down the straps, put his head down.
Yeah.
It was like the guy was like, it literally like you shot his kid.
Yeah.
Like it was like
you felt the pain through the screen on him.
He leaves everything on the field. The guy's probably one of the most emotional football players out there, and he gave it his all. Like he played a good game. They played a good game, but the Lions, man, they look good.
They do look good. That was one game we all picked the Lions. So our 2 clean sweeps were the Lions and Packers. So we all got at least one game right, and we all got at least one game wrong. But yeah, those, and then of course the last game on Sunday, the big end all be all was the Kansas City Chiefs and Bills, and it was this is just like every game they play seems to be like an instant classic, especially in the playoffs, and they were doing their thing. Unfortunately for the Bills, they are haunted with another kicker mistake. And the thing is Bass, I think, has been pretty clutch all year long.
He's one of the best, dude. I can't. You hate to see it because he shanked the crap out of that thing. Like, it wasn't even. It's tough in those conditions, but dude, like, that's a heartbreaker.
And again, you could see on film through the camera just the pain and the heartbreak from the kicker, from Josh Allen, from Stephon Diggs. Like, they were putting everything they had into that game, and I was pulling for Bills Mafia. I really wanted to see a Bills Lions Super Bowl. I think both fan bases deserve it, but man, those Bills, man, they gotta be cursed or something. There has to be something going on.
It's weird. It's like you kind of talk about the 1 or 2 pieces. I think the Bills, Josh Allen does. The guy's a Superman, and I hate when people are like, "Oh, blah blah blah." Like, even the whole thing. Oh, the Chiefs got the Bills draft pick to pick Mahomes. Like, I don't like Mahomes is great. Don't get me wrong, but Josh Allen, dude, he's a stud. Like, the guy puts everything out there. He, like, when you need a first down, he gets it for you. Like, he puts his heart and his soul out there. Like, I just don't like. I don't get why there's so much hate on the guy, and I don't know. I find him to be.
Which
I don't know.
I brought up earlier in the year, back when they were 6-6, right before they started this run. People were, especially around here, I told you Josh Allen was a bum. I told you he was overrated.
Yep.
And they went quiet. They went quiet for a long time, and then after this loss, all of a sudden, pop, these things started coming up. Oh, Josh Allen's never going to get you the Super Bowl. You're never going to be able to win. Dude, listen, like, the majority of the teams would take Josh Allen over their starting quarterback right now.
I mean, I would, and Jordan Love did great, but Josh Allen's a different beast, dude. Like,
right? It's just like with Baker. People hate on Baker too, but those 2 quarterbacks, game after game after game, they're gonna put their all into it, and they are gonna leave everything on the field. They're not gonna be like, oh, I tweaked my left pinky toe, I gotta go sit in the box and watch from there, like Deshaun Watson does. But I don't know. I hate how they get trashed, and they're just both passionate, and they try, and they put their all into everything. And somebody put up a thing on one of the fan pages from Steelers. They're like, "What about trying to go get this guy now that everyone thinks Buffalo's down and like they think they're vulnerable?" I'm like, dude, first of all, you're not gonna have enough money to get Josh Allen. And second of all, the Bills are not going to trade away Josh Allen. Like,
you'd have to give him like everything in your everything.
You have to give him Watt. You'd have to give him. Watt would have to be in that trade.
Yeah, and I don't even know if they would do that at that point. Like, it would be like.
Yeah, they would probably want like Mason Rudolph or Kenny Pickett. Either one is like a fill-in quarterback.
Right.
Plus like 3 first rounds and T.J. Watt. Like, you wouldn't be able to offer enough for them.
Yeah, the guy is unbelievable. The problem is they got kryptonite, dude, and they got Superman's got kryptonite, and their kryptonite is the Chiefs and Mahomes and playoff Travis Kelce.
Well, now I don't know if you remember this or not, but I think it was last year we did the comparisons of Mahomes, Burrow, and Josh Allen, and I compared Josh Allen to the Phillip Rivers of Eli and Big Ben.
Yep.
And when I was saying it last year, I was like, yeah, this sounds good, this sounds cool, blah blah blah. I think this year kind of cemented a little bit more. I can see him as the Phillip Rivers of this group, doing so much, leaving on the field, getting a lot of wins, getting into the playoffs, but not getting over that hump to get into a Super Bowl.
Yeah, they have another. That's a very good comparison. They had another comparison that was like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. I know Peyton Manning won it, but it's like Peyton was always like, Tom was always his kryptonite kind of deal.
Yep.
But you're right. Like,
if Josh Allen would have won this week, it would have been the same exact story as Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. But I don't know. I just see him more as a Phillip Rivers. Like, I don't see him getting over, unless he were to leave the Bills, which would destroy the city of Buffalo. But if he were to leave the Bills, and who knows, go join an NFC team where he doesn't have to face these guys in the playoffs.
Right.
He might be able to make it to the Super Bowl, but
imagine him on Dallas. Oh my God. Like, I mean, Dak's good, but dude, like, imagine him with the star.
Bowen would love it.
Oh my God. I know Bowen would do it in like 2 seconds, and he loves Dak, but come on. Like,
yeah, well, he loves Josh Allen too, though.
Yeah.
He loves Josh Allen, so I think he would love. Joshua or Mike would love to see. I mean, you said you take him in Green Bay. I'd take him in Pittsburgh, but like
100%.
Yeah. But
there's not.
I don't think
probably not.
I can't see him in anything other than a Bills jersey, to be honest with you.
I agree. There's probably not a lot of quarterbacks that if I would have to start a franchise with, that I wouldn't start with Josh Allen. Like I don't know. Like I can't really. I mean, Mahomes has the prestige, right, and has that the record for it. But dude, like
Josh Allen would be a good one to start with. Herbert would be a good one to start with. And I would say Burrow, but he's been hurt.
He's gotten hurt.
He's gotten hurt. I mean, Josh Allen would probably be the one you'd go with more often
maybe
than not.
Maybe C.J. Stroud. Maybe because of his rookie campaign. But
if he can maintain what he has now, I can see that. But
I mean, Justin Herbert is like worse than Phillip Rivers. Like he can't even win. He can't even get into the playoffs. The guy
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens now. Will be interesting to see what happens.
That was probably the biggest signing, not only because it was Jim Harbaugh, but because of his record with quarterbacks.
Yeah. What is funny is I feel like it wasn't blown up as much as it should be.
Agreed.
I thought for sure when he signed, it would have been like Harbaugh leaves Michigan. I saw a few things and I was like, is this true? Did he really go to LA? Right. Because I didn't see a whole lot of stuff. But I just saw today that Adam Scheffler announced Harbaugh's replacement at Michigan. So I was like, well, I guess it is true. He went to LA. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with this squad.
Talking about coaches, so we wanted to talk about this a little bit. Obviously, Harbaugh went there. Did you see who the Falcons picked up?
Were they the ones that were interviewing Raheem Morris?
Yeah, they did. They just hired Raheem Morris. Yep.
So Atlanta took Morris. LA took.
Who did he play for?
Raheem Morris? I don't know if he played. He was coached. I don't know if he.
Coach. Who did he coach for?
I think he coached Tampa. I think he coached a couple different teams.
Was it the Rams?
I don't know.
I'm trying to look at his hat. It's weird.
I don't know where he is right now. I think he was with Atlanta at one point too, as a coordinator.
Oh.
But
yeah. Anyways.
So Harbaugh goes to Chargers. Raheem Morris goes to the Falcons, and Pierce got signed by the Raiders, right?
Yep. He did get. Yep.
All right. Now, so who does that leave?
Who did Tennessee pick up? Did they pick up anybody?
I don't see. I feel like there's no big splashes. Like there's no big news out like that. Like coaches are signing.
Well, Ben Johnson, right? Ben Johnson for the Lions. I mean, he's still going.
He's favored for the Titans job, right? And Gerard Mayo went to New England.
That's right.
So we have the Titans, the Commanders, and the Panthers. Are they the three that still need coaches?
They're saying right here that Brian Callahan is the new head coach
for
the Titans.
Huh. Looks like Eric Bieniemy is not going to get picked up anywhere as head coach.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I saw somebody post about he's the only person that the Commanders should be looking at.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So, and speaking about coaches, the Pittsburgh was looking for an offensive coordinator, or still is right now, and there are two coach names being dropped right now for offense coordinator. Cliff Kingsbury, which would be a nice pickup for them, or I think it's Zach Robinson. He's the passing game coordinator for the Rams right now.
Okay.
Both those coaches are being looked at in Pittsburgh, and I hear good things about both of them. So.
And no Leftwich at all.
No Leftwich.
No. Interesting.
No Leftwich. No Big Ben. No.
Yeah, Kingsbury would be a really interesting option. I think he would do well. You know, he's a smart guy. He's got the offensive mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it'd be interesting.
It would be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's a lot out there. We got to do a little bit more research on this. But
yeah, and then once free agency hits and once the offseason hits, I think you're right. Yeah. I think this is going to be a crazy offseason. And if there's not a lot of big moves, there's not a lot of big splashes, this will probably be one of the biggest disappointing off seasons because there's so much setup that could happen right now.
I agree. Yeah, and a lot of like really good names out there.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. But looking at last week and how we did overall, we had a great one, a middle of the road one, and a not so good one. You, sir, are continuing your hot streak of pick'ems. You went 3-1, going with the Ravens, the Packers, the Lions, and the Chiefs. Mike went 2-2, going with the Ravens, the Packers, the Lions, and the Bills. And I went 1-3, going with the Texans, the Packers, the Lions, and the Bills. Now, with that being said, I must apologize to all teams in the playoffs that I have cheered for so far. There has been a running joke now with my brother and one of our friends that once it comes to playoff football, I have become what is known as a mush. Anybody that I cheer for loses.
Ends up.
Loses. So just keep that in mind when I do my pick'ems, okay?
Yeah, okay.
But I went with the Texans, the Packers. They lost. The Bills, they lost. The only ones that I went with that did anything for me were the Lions. So that gives you, last week you were a 75% win percentage, bumping your overall playoff percentage to 60%. Mike was at 50%, bumping his to 40%, and I was at 25%, dropping mine to 30%.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, which brings us out into the conference championship round, right? That's where we're at.
Yep.
This is it. This is for all the marbles. Go to the Super Bowl. Now I'm sure you've heard the conspiracy theories about the whole logo being changed and this and that and it.
Yep.
We'll see if that affects anything. But for this week, starting off with the AFC game, we have the Kansas City Chiefs and Mr. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, with Taylor and Jason most likely, heading into Baltimore. Mike went with the Chiefs. He's riding the hot hand, going with the Chiefs. I'm honestly a little surprised on this one for him. Where do you think you're going to go with this one, Josh? What are you looking at? What are you seeing?
It's tough. I've really fell in love with the Kelce brothers in just their personalities, their way of being able to just bring such an energy to not only the football field but social media into people's lives in general. So it's hard to not want to root for them. And I struggle with picking against them. However, I do really like Lamar, and I think that the defense that Kansas City is going to be seen is very different than any defense that they've played against in a while. So I think this is tough, but I think that the Baltimore Ravens will win this one.
All right. Yeah, these should, and as they should, these should get harder to pick because they are whittling down to the better teams, the best teams available. Again, I'm a mush, so I'm going Baltimore Ravens. Let's go Ravens, baby. So then that'll bring us up to the NFC side of it to see who will represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Will we have the number 1 seed San Francisco 49ers playing well, Brock Purdy making a push for MVP still, or the upswing surprise Detroit Lions with Dan Campbell still biting kneecaps and taking out ankles and whatnot? Mike has gone with our adopted team, and he has picked the Lions. Josh, I see you repping a jersey. I don't know if that's from respect from last week or if that's your prediction this week. Where are we going?
Yeah, that's an interesting take. It's all about respect. I love the 49ers. I've cheered for them from the start. At the beginning of this podcast, I think I had them projected to go to the Super Bowl. They have such a good team. Debo was hurt last week, which was a huge effect, I think, to their rhythm of their offense. However, how can you go against the Lions, man? How can you do it right now with the story, with the city, with once being a Michigander, as a somewhat Lions fan, being that the Packers are in the same division. So, with all that being said, I'm rolling with the Lions and Dan Campbell, baby. Let's get the W.
All right, nice. We're gonna clean sweep it. I'm gonna roll the Lions as well. That would be a hell of a story to get them into the Super Bowl. Interesting thing that could potentially happen here, and Mike has predicted this to happen, would be a Lions-Chiefs Super Bowl. Because then that would mean this year started with the Lions and Chiefs and ended with the Lions and Chiefs.
Interesting. That is an interesting idea.
The way that this season has gone as a roller coaster ride, if you think about it, you start here, You go on your roller coaster ride and you end here. So that would be a very interesting thing to see the Lions and Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
That's a very, very interesting thought. I like that. Yeah. We talked about this year being a roller coaster, and you start somewhere, but you got to finish, and all through the bumps and all the craziness. That would be very interesting.
It would be.
And to be honest, with all four teams, I really like all four teams. I'm not. It's tough when the Packers lost the 49ers, but I have a lot of respect for their team. It's going to be a good Super Bowl either way.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Lions, I tell you, I just...
how do you not pull for the Lions right now?
Yeah.
And honestly, I really, really don't want to see a Baltimore 49ers
I agree.
Super Bowl
rematch.
Mainly. Well, not even that. Mainly the reason I want to see that is because there's been so much talk about the scriptedness of football, and if it's scripted, and the whole conspiracy about the logo being changed to purple and red, so it's gonna be the Ravens and the 49ers. And now, do they deserve it? Yeah, they've been the best teams on each side the whole time, but it's just the Lions. Yeah, you got to pull for the Lions on this one. They've never been there, and to get this close, you just got to hope they can do it.
Who did they play the wild card weekend?
The Rams.
Okay, and you know what? I thought, and this sucks because I wish this was the case for us. I thought we clean sweep through the whole playoffs with the Lions. But I think a couple of us picked the Rams. I know I did. So
yeah, you and Mike both picked the Rams.
Yeah, but
I have clean sweep the Lions all the way through. I've stuck with the Lions all the way through. So
yeah, you did. Okay, all right.
And then when it comes down to the nitty gritty, we're looking at these famous fans of these teams, right? The Chiefs. Well documented, they got Taylor Swift. Baltimore, Michael Phelps shows up to Baltimore games all the time.
Okay, that's a stretch. Okay.
San Fran, I don't even know who, but I'm sure they got people showing up there. But you gotta love when Eminem reps your team, which would be another reason why I would pick the Lions, because I love Eminem. He's one of my favorites.
Yep.
So
yeah, and he's a big time Lions fan, man. He's all about
it. Yeah, he loves his Lions.
Again, with the story for the Lions, I lived there for about 3 years. I tell you, the dedication to a fan base that was so terrible, that went 0-16, that was just horrendous. The fan base has stuck through everything. They deserve this more than anybody. And what a way to do it with Dan Campbell, the man of the people. It makes sense.
I saw something that I was like, dude, makes complete sense. And if I was a Lions head office guy, GM, whatever, I would do whatever I could to do this. But someone said, if the Lions make the Super Bowl, they need to offer Barry Sanders a 1-day contract.
I did see this. Yep.
Bring him back and let him take one play on the field, even if it's out there for the kneel down or something like that. Take one play on the field and let him get a Super Bowl ring.
Right there, man. Right there, the legend.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be so cool.
Nobody else.
Or Calvin Johnson, honestly.
Yeah, right. Both of them. Yeah. I mean, Calvin could probably play right now.
Yeah, Calvin probably could play. Could you imagine?
Oh God! I mean, between the two of them, right? Legends of the game. It would be incredible to see.
Well, we'll see what happens. Interesting weekend. Yeah, both games are Sunday this week, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Good.
Yep. 3 and 6:30, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So, which is good because we have a very special birthday Saturday. So,
yep.
I don't know if you want to announce that to our group, but
yeah. Excuse me. William will be turning 5 the Big 5 on Monday. So we are celebrating this weekend with William's birthday party. He's super excited. He invited all of his classmates, and I think the majority of them are coming. So he's very excited.
Happy birthday, Will.
Yeah.
You have grown into one of the funniest kids I've ever met in my life, and I tell you, I love that you give your dad the most crap because nobody else is as deserving as Adam to get it back. So
he's definitely taken notes over the years, and he knows what to do.
Oh man, talk about a spitting image, man!
Yeah.
It is awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I love that little guy.
Yeah.
So we'll enjoy the weekend. We'll have another good. Should have 2 more really good games. Hoping there are not any blowouts there, but I think they should be pretty close games, hard-fought games, and let's just hope for the best.
Yeah. So, be exciting. So I'm looking forward to it. Be a good weekend.
So that's 1 more week in the books for 2 guys.
2 guys.
1 mic.
Let's go.
Peace.